Hi, welcome to Beautifully Chaotic. I'm Yesha, and in today's video, I will walk you through my journey living abroad in London. A quick flashback started in engineering. 2017, I have started engineering college, and I am thick into my studies, being a good student, trying to score. In 2018, I realized, okay, this doesn't sound right. This is literally not for me because in the first sem, we had something called C language, and as many of you may know, it's a coding language. And the minute I started learning it, I realized, okay, one sec, this is not me. This is just not for me. I flunked that course, by the way, in the first sem, and then I had to give my first attempt, in which I obviously passed, but I still just could not get a hang of coding at all during engineering. It was in the second year in 2018 that I found this opportunity at my engineering college in the literacy council, where they were looking for a content developer. And I said, okay, hey, listen, if you're really not meant for engineering, then what are you going to do with your life? And so I started taking up any creative projects or any creative opportunities that sort of like came my way. And the first one was working as a content developer for the literary council. And so I began there. I worked there for like a year, and during the same year, I found a wonderful internship for an online beauty magazine, again, as a content developer. So, all very sort of niche experiences. They paid me peanuts, but at the age of 18, while I'm trying to, change my careers, the only thing going through my mind was, okay, whatever opportunity comes your way, you're gonna grab it. And that's what I really do most times. Whatever opportunity comes my way, I always say yes, because right now is not the age for me to be picky and be like, oh, maybe not. But yeah, so 2018 to 19, I was working for the Literacy Council. In 2019, for my technical council, they were looking for a PR head. I applied for the role and fortunately got selected. So that one year I was working as a PR head. So throughout engineering, I made sure that I was doing anything creative, anything that I could, explore the avenue in and do anything but engineering really. And so I got that opportunity and I was working there from 2019 to 2020. Again, I had multiple internships going on at the same time, and I was studying in the college as well. 2021 was when I graduated, and we have something called campus placements in India, which is very, very common. And fortunately for me, even though it was an engineering college, there was a publishing firm that came to hire engineers for the role of an associate editor. Very, very ironic. Why would a publishing firm come to an engineering college just to find an editor? But they did. And guess who got selected? So I did. I started work in July 2021 and I worked with them for about 5 to 6 months. After which I went on a hiatus. So this was in 2021. And I took a hiatus until Feb 2022. That's when I got another opportunity at a startup working as their brand strategist, which was again sort of like an amalgamation of content along with PR, marketing. So I took up that opportunity. And whilst I was working with them and whilst I was working with the first job that I did in 2021, I was also applying for masters in the US, not related to content or marketing, but IT. Very confusing. I have never understood what I want to do in life. I still do not know because I'm just a very creative person. I want to grab every opportunity that comes my way. And so I decided we will do everything in our control to be more creative in life. So I was applying for masters in the US and things just didn't work out financially and academically. Things just didn't align. And it was in 2022 May that I decided, okay, maybe I want to change countries. So I switched from US to the UK and I started applying to UK universities for content writing, just general generic writing and marketing. And I got my results in June. I got an admit at University of Westminster in London. This was in June and I was still working at the startup. In June I got admitted. I had to be in London in September. So I had only about 3 months, sort of 3 months to do all the paperwork, apply for my visa, pay the fees, look for accommodation. Everything was really rushed, but apparently that's how UK timelines are. Things are quite smooth and things are quite slow for the UK and far more simple than the US. And so I had 3 months in hand, and that's what I did. I applied for my visa, everything happened. Cut to September 22nd. I am flying the night of September 22nd. Everyone's over, all my relatives, few of my friends have come over. I am bawling. I am bawling because I am a very traditionally Indian grown up girl. I don't even know what that means, but what I mean is, I grew up in a very traditional household. Even though my younger sister had moved abroad already, she'd moved to London in 2021. For me, it was such a big jump and such a big change that I was not ready for it mentally, I guess, or maybe I didn't even get the chance to think through it. It's because we've always trained, we've been trained to sort of study until 10th and then 11th, 12th, then degree college, and then work for a year or two and then pursue your masters. So I never got the time to sort of process what I wanted to do with my life, and I just went with the flow. The night of me flying to London, I was not prepared at all, or maybe I was just nervous because I never left my house. I've always been like in my cocoon. I've never left the house. Cut to, it was such a big jump going from Mumbai to London that I was scared. I was shit scared. I did not want to leave my mum. I didn't want to get out of the comfort zone, and I was just crying. I remember my friend from engineering came to visit me that night, and I was crying. I suddenly broke down in front of him, and he was shocked because I've never done that before. He never took me for someone who would cry in front of him, and he was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not ready. I'm very scared." Even though I had my sister there, I had my cousin there, it was just very scary to leave my parents alone. Cut to, that night I catch the flight. I go to Dubai, there's a layover. I'm doing everything on my own. I never imagined someone like myself, a very timid, traditionally grown up girl in like an Indian household. I never imagined myself to be in Dubai doing things on my own. I had the money, but I had no idea who to go to, who to trust, who to believe in, what to eat. It was my first international exposure. At Dubai airport, I'm seeing steak, I'm seeing beef, and I have no idea what to order. And so I order a glass of Starbucks. That's it. I'm having my Starbucks coffee, knowing very well it's going to give me anxiety for the next couple of hours, but I've taken something just to fill my stomach. I get on another flight and I land in London. It's around 6 p.m. My sister's at the airport. She's picked me up. We are both crying. We're not like bawling, but we've both shed a tear. I could not believe the minute I landed in London, I looked out the window and I have started crying, literally crying, because I never took myself for someone who would travel continents, literally just like move continents, leave my parents, leave my family, leave everything behind and start a completely new life. I never believed in myself. I never thought I had it in me, but I did. And that's the lesson you guys need to learn, that even though you feel like you don't have it in you, go for it, because you do. We all do. We've only been trained and we've only been treated in a way that we start doubting ourselves. We all have the strength to do whatever you want in life. Just go for it. Anyway, coming back to the story. My sister picks me up. We go to my student accommodation, which is about an hour and a half away from the airport. I get into the student accommodation. That's my first exposure to a very teeny tiny room. Now, for the ones who've lived in the UK as students, you'd know how tiny the student accommodation rooms are. So I've entered the room, I've put my bags, and my sister's opened a bag which has got all the snacks that I've got from India exclusively for her. She's opened the bag and she's snacking whilst I'm looking out of the window, and I'm thinking, where am I? It literally for a minute felt like I was out of Earth. It felt like I was not on the same planet as my parents, and I have started crying. I've cried and I've told my sister, I don't want to live here. I want to go home. I want to go to my parents. And I've started crying, and I could not believe that I'm genuinely here in London. And I was so numb because I had no friends, I had no life, I had no one over there, I had no one that I could call my own. And it was just so strange for me. That evening, my father's called my cousin, asking her to pick me up, take me out for dinner, which she obviously was going to do. So she comes, she picks me up, and then we go for a nice dinner. Obviously, she takes me to an Indian place, and all this while I'm just numb. I can't think through, I can't process anything, because whilst she was driving, the only thing running through my head was, how will I manage? How will I survive in this strange country? I don't know anything about the culture. I don't know anything at all. Little did I know that 3 years later, I will come out a completely different person. I don't recognize who that Yesha was. 2022 Yesha was so different from 2025 Yesha, and I'm bloody proud of her. I'm proud of her for everything she's done in those 3 years. Beautiful journey. That was my first day. The second day, my sister decides to take me on a typical Central London tour. Not really a tour, but she wanted to show me around, touristy places like Oxford Circus, Piccadilly. We didn't go to Trafalgar because I was tired of walking. Anyone planning to go to London or the UK, you have no idea how much you're gonna have to walk. It will be very difficult for the initial month or two, but you will get a hang of it and you will realize that's the healthiest lifestyle. What we live over here, absolutely unhealthy. We don't walk at all. We don't eat good food at all. We don't eat protein, for fuck's sake, at all. So yeah. So the second day she's taking me to Central London. We are at Oxford Circus. Another dramatic story. We are walking, okay? And the signal for pedestrian is still greenish, okay? It's almost turning orange or whatever. And the signal for vehicles is still red, about to turn orange. And I'm crossing the road, okay? I'm trying to go across because my sister's already gone across. And I'm trying to cross. And I'm walking at my steady pace, not knowing how fast people are in London. So I'm walking, and this taxi driver stops in the middle of the road and he shouts with 100 people around me, "Idiot!" because he couldn't get through. Because I was stopping him and the signal was not even fully green for him. I kid you not how mortifying that entire experience was for me. Imagine me already, being terrified of this new experience, not wanting to, live there, not feeling like I belong here. The second day and my first day in Central London, exploring proper London, this guy just randomly calls me an idiot in front of 100 people. And I was on the verge of crying, on the verge of breaking down. My sister could tell that she is not okay. She's genuinely just going to cry. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I didn't want to create a scene, with everyone around." She finally took me to a restaurant. She was like, "Are you sure you're okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. That night we separated. She went her own way. I went my own way. I've come home and I have bawled. And how? I'm crying. I'm like, this is the sign. This country doesn't like me. I don't belong here. This city hates me. The people hate me. And I have gone in a full-blown overthinking loop. It was just a lot for me to handle. You tell me, when you go to a new country, would you not feel like that? The first day you're out in the city and someone calls you an idiot in front of 100 people, what would you feel? Like you don't belong, right? But no, it's nonsense. You never not belong anywhere. We are all humans, we all belong together. And so it was all great. And that's where my journey really started. 2022, I was doing, by the way, the course was MA Professional Writing from University of Westminster, and it was the first year that they had launched that course. So I was, again, a guinea pig, which I've always been in my life, be it school, college, or postgraduate. So it was just beautiful. The course was nice. I wouldn't say the best, but it was nice. I learned a lot. I met some wonderful people. It was a very tiny, small knit class. It was only about 5 of us, but we had a ball. We enjoyed a lot. I learned a lot. I learned the culture. I had a chance to meet new people, new professors, and the dynamic over there between a student and a professor is so beautiful. It's not formal. Like, you wouldn't have to be absolutely guarded when you talk to them. You're fine. They are your professor. You can literally talk to them like they are your friend. Obviously, okay, friend is a little bit of a stretch, but you can be slightly less formal than you would be in India. And that's what I really love. Like, I could open up to my professor about literally everything. I remember the first time I met my professor, I told her about the incident, the Uber guy calling me an idiot, and she said, "Oh honey, that's just London, please don't take it to your heart, it's very normal, just ignore it." And she was very positive about it, and that gave me hope. And they really motivate you, and they are always there for you. So it started out like that. For a year I was studying. I was doing like the academic stuff. I was not appearing for exams, but we had submissions. That's what I did for a year from 2022 to 23. And 23, I landed a placement over there in London, which I will keep confidential, but I was working there for another year from 23 to 24. That again was a beautiful experience. The startup that I was working with was just amazing. And I don't know, I've always had a thing for, working with startups because I get more exposure than I would otherwise in a corporate setting. Nothing against corporate, but I feel like I'm more inclined towards working with a startup than a corporate firm. So working with them was just beautiful. It was such an amazing experience. Again, I met so many people. I got to know so much about the English culture, about the lifestyle that they live, and the kind of trips they take. My goodness, I don't think that's very common in India. Most of my colleagues would take at least one trip per quarter, and that was so, so beautiful. It made me realize how many things we've normalized here in India that are absolutely not normal. And again, no blame to anyone, but that's how the economy is. But yes, it was a wonderful experience. I got to socialize, although I'm not a very social person. I got a chance to even get to know who they are, what their culture is, at least like on a personal level. And then, we would have lunch together, we would all chat. Our co-founders would, sit with us and have lunch. So that was just beautiful. You don't see that kind of bond here in India because there's always like a hierarchy. Not that it's not there over there, but it's I think it's really about, working with a startup that completely changes your brain's wiring, really. So anyone watching this, if you ever get a chance to work with a startup, just go for it. There's literally no hierarchy working with a startup. You feel like you are a part of it. They make you feel like you are an integral part of their startup and their company, which is, at a nascent stage. So big thumbs up to like startups. Okay, after 24, this is when the real struggle really began. Not that those 2 years were not. It was, again, I'm talking about all the good things. There were days, trust me, there were days I felt absolutely lonely. I felt like, where is my life going? Will I land a job? Will I land a placement? Because I had to find my placement on my own. Unlike in India where people came to a campus to hire us, it's not it's not like that in the UK or anywhere outside of India. So it was really difficult for me. I was obviously anxious, alone. I had a couple of friends, I would meet them, but it's not something that you can, take with you or rely on. They are there, but they will not be there for you the way your friends are in India or your family is in India. So you have to genuinely get very independent over there, which I did financially, emotionally, mentally, and in every way. Just get very independent. So it was just a beautiful experience for me. The struggle really began last year when I graduated and I had to find an actual job. Now, you may ask, why did you not continue at the startup? Uh, could be various reasons which I want to keep confidential, but we did not go ahead with it. And I had to find a proper, like, full time job. And I started hunting, and it got truly, truly difficult. The months of September 24 up until December 24, I would term them as perhaps the worst phase of my life mentally. You would think I had enough savings to, survive over there. I had everything that I could, but what I did not have were my friends and my family. Obviously, my parents were constantly supporting me. I had my sister over there, I had my cousin over there. But all the friends that I made in those 2 years, they had all gone their own ways. We would meet, but not in a way that you see each other every day during university or during lectures or, even when you're like neighbors or whatever. So that got very lonely, got insanely lonely. And the people who think that they are alone will not know what lonely really feels like. You are not lonely. Being lonely, I would describe that as being as close as being, like, depressed. Yeah, loneliness is being as close as depressed. It was really bad. You're left with no motivation. You're left with no, especially, during the job hunt season, when you don't have a job, when you don't have an influx of money, you start doubting yourself. You start reconsidering all your life decisions. You start thinking about a lot of things, the efforts and the support that your parents put in those 2 years for you, and then you completely feel disconnected from the real world. You're applying for like thousands of jobs, and the only thing you hear back are rejections. And unfortunately, it got very tiring for me. And it was in Jan of this year that I decided that, okay, I perhaps want to go back to my parents. That's when I realized I want to go back to my comfort. I'm not saying because I wanted to be in my comfort, but we we all know that eventually we have our parents. When the world falls apart, when you lose your friends, when you lose your relationship, whatever happens, the one thing you know you'll never lose are your parents. And that's precisely what I did. I called them up and I said, it's just for the better that I come back. And it was the initial plan was that I would move back again in March, but because I had found a job, I decided to continue living here in Mumbai, and I'm currently in Mumbai. I've started this YouTube channel just in the hope that whatever I share, I don't know how sensible it may be, I don't know how helpful it may be, but I do know for a fact that we are all in it together. We are all going through the same struggle, maybe in different like intensity and magnitude, but I do know that we all have similar emotions, and the more we talk about it, the more we feel that we are in it together, and the more normal we feel. And I wish I had someone to sort of tell me that, hey, you're okay, you're fine, you will be fine in life, you will be absolutely normal, which you already are, but you will be fine. And that's precisely why I've started this channel. And this was my story of living in London for 3 years. I'm not done yet. I will go. I just don't know when. But this is not the end of my story. Thank you.